Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Clash Masters here, and I'm here with another review. This review is going to be way different than Dragon Ball Super. This happens to be more so of 007 meets a Tom Clancy novel. And by Tom Clancy, we're going to get right into it. The Netflix movie called The Great Man.
You know, I think we would have been friends, you and I. Guess what I'm thinking right now?
That you've overshared?
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Anything you can do, I can do better.
I can kill anybody.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
You must be Lloyd.
What gave it away?
The white pants, the trash stash. It leans Lloyd.
We'll see.
Anything you can do, anything you can do, I can do better.
The Gray Man.
So The Great Man is pretty much about a guy kind of getting redemption. We get into the movie, they happen to be two guys talking in the Florida State Prison. And the other guy pretty much works for the CIA, giving the other guy, Ryan Segal, if I mispronounced it, I'm totally sorry, but he's pretty much given an opportunity of being free, but at the same time working with the government. It's pretty much like we know, once he does it, he's pretty much a ghost. He doesn't exist. He's disposable, yada yada. But he gets his freedom instead of spending the rest of his life in prison waiting for parole, which is really cool. So, that was like 2003. He takes the deal, obviously, because he really had no choice. The moment Billy Bob Thornton walked off and was leaving, he was going to take him with him because he's starting a program for criminals as such who he deems could be, I'll probably say rehabilitated, but with their skills, knowing that they're gonna have to stay in this particular profession until they're dead in the ground. But it gives them freedom, to travel, see the world, and fight and kill, because some of their charges and some of their records, they had to kill somebody or they had like a murder, whatever the case is. So he takes up the deal, right? The movie starts, and we jump into about, I'd say 18 years or so, roughly in this real time. It's like 2021, and he's on a mission to kill supposedly a bad guy who's holding information that could pretty much destroy the CIA. Now Ryan Gosling's character is as the task force was called Sierra, the Sierra program. So it's like a branch for like the CIA with all these guys. So he's pretty much like in the Sierra program. He goes by Sierra 6. That's his new alias for the entire the movie. And I don't really talk too much of like his past life and what he did. So this is more of like, him and what he's doing. And he's sent there to, pretty much take out the guy, get the information, and pretty much report it back to the CIA of, the personal information that they wanted him to retrieve. And in doing so, he runs into the guy. They're having a big fight scene, and the guy realizes who he is, but Sierra 6 doesn't know who he is, and he's like, well, I'm Sierra 4. So they sent you to come and, kill one of your own, which was kind of like a weird turn of events right off the gate. So now it's like, okay, so what's really going on here? Because in the beginning we saw Billy Bob Thornton. Now, years have gone by. Obviously there's a new management, new regime, whatever you want to call it, in that organization that kind of looking at it, okay, he's taking out certain heavy hitters in this guy's program. And they're leaving, this, Sierra 6 last, obviously, because he's got his job, he has a good reputation, his status precedes him everywhere he goes. So, what I thought was pretty interesting was, Sierra 6 doesn't know who this guy is. So he's just given a task, hey, kill this guy, and that's gonna be that. But then the guy's kind of telling him, like, do you trust Carmichael, which is the new guy who pretty much sent 6 to take out 4. And I'm just going to call them 6 and 4 and just this guy 6 during the whole review. And, he's telling him, like, do you trust him? And, he's like, of course not. So, just kind of, battling the mix of of everything. 4 is dead by 6, obviously, no surprise there. But 4 gives him this medallion that has the information, that has these secrets of Carmine doing a lot of unsanctioned stuff, a lot of shady business behind the CIA's back, which is just like, oh my God, we've seen that before. But so he's kind of like now troubled, where it's like, okay, they had me take out one of my guys. Who can I trust? So he goes to Billy Bob Thornton, the guy, and this case his name was Fitz, I think, like Daryl Fitz. He goes to him and he's like, hey, by this time he's retired, he's somewhere across the world just enjoying retirement out the way. And he calls him like, hey, I had a little bit of situation, it got loud, really loud, and now I'm kind of trying to figure out what's going on here. I feel like this guy's going to be on to me, so I might need some help. And then Fitz is like, well, what's going on with the situation. He kind of tells him, he asks him if he has the medallion. He tells him no, it's tucked away in a safe place. So he's like, all right, good. I'm going to get you an extraction point. We're going to meet here, and this is what we're going to do. So it's kind of like, all right, we're going to have a little nice team up, such and so on. But Carmichael's so hell-bent on getting this information because he knows it's his ass on the line. And if they happen to find out, like a whistleblower, then it could be, World War III. He could be doomed. He could be court-martialed. He could be 21 gun salute. Anything can happen. So, knowing that and just watching the movie, you're kind of seeing like Carmichael being this smart villain, but in a sense of, he's in the suit. He's the CIA. He can't do nothing wrong, but he is doing a little bit of shady business behind them, making him, malicious, making him a villain. While 6 is trying to pursue and find Fitz and trying to figure out that whole situation, Carmichael doesn't want to take no chances because he already knows 6 is good at what he does, and he knows that 6 could be hiding something just because of the little slight conversation they had after 6 killed 4. And he called him to see, hey, my guys came, they pretty much ransacked his dead body. Was there anything, in particular that he had on him? And this time, he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And if I did, well, what is it? What can you tell me about this guy? And it's usually the same runaround. A good bad guy dressed as a good guy would tell you, oh, nothing, he's just a bad guy, it was a bad file, just, plain and simple. So he's sweating him, hangs up, and then he realizes, okay, I need someone that could really like go toe to toe with 6 and that could really get 6. And he calls his boy, Chris Evans, aka in this movie he's called Floyd. And he's pretty much your typical, I would say, like your old-fashioned, like he gave me like 1970s, like if a porno character had like a crazy budget and was like on some 007 stuff. He gave me like a weird persona at the stash, the outfit, his mannerisms, the things that he really liked to do was kind of like, all right, this is like a macho man, but like with an old school swag. So I felt like that was an interesting dynamic for him to play, Donald. So, he calls Donald and, he's telling him, hey, I need you to get this guy 6. He has this, that, and the third, and I need him gone. So, obviously he jumps on it. He's trying to figure out right then and there, okay, well, who does he have? Because remember, he's a ghost. He doesn't exist. He has no file. So the only person they know that's closest to him would be Fitz. And it makes sense because Fitz, I believe, was getting all these guys from prison and putting them in the program to do various missions. I feel like they didn't know one another, but it was like, hey, I'm going to send 4 to do this, I'm going to send 6 to do that, 1, 2, and so forth and so on. So they'll never meet. They just get, a phone call or whatever, and they go ahead and handle business. So I think Donald, being, a strategist is trying to figure out, okay, we need to get Fitz, but how can we get Fitz? I guess it's kind of like you have to do it in a way where it's not going to look obvious. So they kidnap Fitz's niece, who later on we find out has a peacemaker. So, they get, they kidnap his niece, and then they find out Fitz is going to a funeral. One of his friends, is being buried. So then Donald meets up with Fitz at the funeral, pretty much telling him like, well, I know who you are, you may not know who I am. And then Fitz kind of has an idea of who he is now at that point once they start exchanging names and organizations and stuff like that. And he shows him a picture of his niece. So pretty much, damsel in distress, if you want to come with me, and then, I'll have you reconnect with your niece because I need to find this guy. That's pretty much my whole objective. He knows that Fitz is pretty much going to meet up with Six, and he wants Fitz to call the people who, later on when Fitz was going to get an extraction for him to meet up, he wanted Fitz's extraction team to get rid of Six. So, they're in a hella like a military plane, and Six being obviously the sleeper agent at this point, kind of ironic that he is, he knows they're trying to take him out, and he takes him out before they can, so he gets to drop on them, and laying out all these guys, the plane goes down, whatever, and while this is going on, they're driving, I guess, to for Fitz to meet his niece, and he takes out those guys. And I believe either after they call him or he calls them back. Fitz, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Six calls Fitz and he's pretty much saying, hey, what's going on, this, that, and the third. And then he meets Donald on the phone. He doesn't like Donald. And it becomes pretty much like, hey, I'm your obstacle. Blah, 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 blah. Typical old-fashioned heroic stuff. The movie really gave me 007 vibes, with a lot of action and a lot of adventure, just going from this country to that country, from this country to that country, and doing certain things that, I guess they could do in various countries where police and a lot of things aren't really too heavy. Right, so police aren't really, active in some of these areas. But so, back to the story. So he hears Donald's voice or whatever, and from there, we cut to like a little bit of a flashback of when Six got to know Fitz a little bit more, and he had a niece with a peacemaker. Pretty much the parents died, and he's been taking care of his niece. But since someone leaked information to the public about like where he lived, put it in jeopardy. He wanted Fitz to kind of like guard the house while they clean up that mess up. And, they have a good relationship. I'll say that, it's kind of rocky. It's your typical, military or, bodyguard watching a little kid. Of course, it's going to be shaky at first, and the kid's going to say certain things and maybe rub the guy the wrong way because, he's trained to know one thing and not to have emotion and things of that nature. But you see a little bit of time that they spend together that she knows that, okay, this is someone that is reliable, that has my back, and that she's not really connected with her parents since they passed. Fitz took her in, and he was like, well, Fitz took me in. So, she's like, well, he's the only family I have, and Six was like, well, he's the only family I have. And the girl Claire was like, well, then we're family. And I was like, okay, that's a nice tidbit there, that she's able to incorporate that and see him as family. So, I think we fast forward and, we're seeing a whole lot of just, this guy, Chris Evans, Donald getting, his troops, getting a lot of, I call them bounty hunters, but they're not really bounty hunters. They're more like, just like those hush-hush guys that come in, you pay a certain amount of fee to take someone out, because Six is just, he's like, his reputation precedes him, which is really good. So he's just trying to make it to get some passports and trying to find out where the girl's being held captive and stuff like that. And he goes to a country where, there's like a little stop shop or stop lot or crate, whatever. He has a bag full of money, passports, whatever. Goes to this guy that he knows. They talk in this code. He lets him in, and he's looking for passports. He's going to change his clothes and things of that nature, only to find out that the guy was saying something that was kind of ironic. He was saying, I could hack something in seconds to know like the news. And knowing that this guy has a bounty on his head, clearly I'm thinking to myself, like, I hope that he's not really going to betray this guy. Maybe he's with the CIA organization, we don't know. But then, he's taking pictures of Fitz, all these pictures. And while he's taking pictures of Six, I'm sorry, I said Fitz, but Six is noticing, he's looking around and he's like, I'm on a time clock, hurry up. And he's seeing him stalling even a little bit. And he has him come closer, boom, trap door. He falls down, he's trapped. Then the guy shows Donald like, hey, I got this guy, come here and get him and let me get my money. It's your typical, it's been written. This has been written before. And so now it's just, well, how's he going to get out of here? Because like it's like, I'd probably say like, it's like a few feet deep down, for the trap floor that he was in. So luckily he had his bag and he had a few things, and he tried shooting out the top from the glass, but it was bulletproof. So he comes up with this idea of, okay, I don't have much time left. This guy obviously is trying to, get the bounty, collect the bounty. So he does something with the gunpowder, busts open like some type of, it looked like I can't remember if it was like a pipe, where all this water starts flowing out. And then he knows, okay, maybe, I could set this off, fly up, swim down, watch it explode, and come back up. Which he does. By then, Donald's guys and Donald are there at the guy's location. And, like a typical person who's greedy, Donald goes there, airs him out, you know what I'm saying, like Febreze, air him out like a can of Wick, you know what I'm saying? So he ain't seeing no type of money, that's for sure. And then they're trying to find, okay, let's try to find this guy. Okay, boom, he's down here, and that's when he sets off the explosion. He gets out. The moment he gets out though was crazy, because he gets out, he's over here, just jump. I don't want to say jump out the well, that's a bit much, but he climbs out the well, and I think he had one shoe, and he was missing a shoe, and he had 2 knives on him. And the moment he got out, he ran on the first guy he saw, stabbed him up. Ran on the other guy, stabbed him up. I guess took one guy's gun, shot him, did all this crazy stuff, going upstairs. And then, him and Donald kind of have like a cat and mouse game, you could say, where he makes it outside and thought he got away. And then Donald comes from behind, and it looked like he shot him, but I guess he must have missed. So when he turned around and we hear gunshots again, he gets darted by somebody, and it's the woman that helped Six in the beginning half of the movie. I forget her name now. I think it was like Agent something, but we'll call her Six sidekick for now. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to the actress, of course, but I just can't remember the name to save my life. So, she comes there, she aids him, and he's trained, so he's stunned. He got shot, tranked in the ass, and then she's telling him, okay, let's go over here and let's get you to safety. So. They pretty much get to this this car as an escape. She has him ride the trunk. He doesn't want to ride the trunk because I guess he hasn't had a good, seat. He's just been on go from the start of the movie all the way to now. So she tranks him, puts him in the trunk, and then, as she's driving, she's trying to figure out what's going on. Why are these people after you? What's this? What's that? Because maybe someone from your program could have leaked some kind of information. And before, in the beginning part, he told her, like, that doesn't happen. I am Sierra. We don't have information. We don't have intel. We just do what we're told. So something's going on here. So she's a little bit more intrigued. That's the reason why she followed him. She's like, you're making a lot of noise. You're loud. And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it. So, in details, she met up with the arch villain, Carmichael, before coming to save Six, which I thought was kind of crazy. This dude, like a little bit before he went down in the little, trap door, she met with Carmichael in Dublin. I guess they had some kind of talk, and he was just trying to figure out, she protecting him, why she protecting him, and this, that, and the third. And she said the right words to kind of keep her, to keep her career intact. And Dan comes to save him, and she's trying to figure out the truth, like what's really going on. She's trying to figure out what's going on, and she asks him, hey, what's going on? Why are they after you? This, that, and the third. And then he tells her, okay, on the chip, it had this. He's kind of telling her these things, because he's like, how can I trust you? And she's like, come on, like, I would have sent you to Carmichael, I would have killed you right there, and I'm saving your life right now. That's why you're in the back of a trunk. Okay, that makes sense. So he goes and he, indulges pretty much what was on the flash drive, but he couldn't crack it. So that's why he also sent it to someone who could hack it, who knew the code. So when he told her where to go, she's like, okay, get comfy, we're gonna go. And at that particular point, they got Fitz and his niece, in one room. Donald comes back to like their headquarters, wherever their base of operation, and he kind of tortures Fitz to find out what Six's move's going to be next. And kind of get rid of some of the fluff, torture stuff, get the kids out the room, and he's kind of doing all this weird funny stuff, and then he tries to torture him. But Fitz is, he's CIA, he's trained for this kind of torture. Even though he does unsanctioned type of torture, he's still able to hang in there. It's like, whatever, I'm trained, I've tortured people, so you can kind of tell, like, this isn't going to be an easy feat. He's not going to tell you where he's going to go. Then it cuts to where he went, and it was the woman in not the beginning, but the past that had he met prior when he had to watch Claire. So he gave her the drive. She was able to crack it, and she's a big figure in the CIA. So now it's kind of like she knows what they're doing is wrong. She knows, okay, he could do this, he could do that, he could change it, he could put a stop to it. The heroic thing to do. And then once Fitz finds out where he's at, not Fitz, I'm sorry. Once Donald finds out where Six is at, he sends a team out there, and they pretty much air out the place, make it Swiss cheese, make it look like it's a fresh block of Swiss cheese to the house. And then she kind of, tells them, hey, I have keys to this fast car. Go and take it. Do this, do that. You guys got to leave. I'll be right behind you. The typical stuff. But the girl makes it. Six's sidekick makes it out, and then the woman has Six take like the secret passage she has, and she closes them down in there, and she's pretty much like, okay, I'm gonna kill these guys so you can escape and you could make your way out. So she gives up her life. And in doing so, when he comes out the other way, he's surrounded by police. You pretty much have him almost being handcuffed, but like there's about a whole bunch of cops, and like this dude Six is a beast. From start to finish. I guarantee if you love action, you're gonna love this, because action is nonstop. He's taking out a whole bunch of cops, and that right there was like A1. You know what I mean? So it was cool, And then he, I believe he runs. And then eventually, as he's running, the cops are pursuing him, and it's you're on foot, they're on wheels. Eventually, they get him, they tie him down. They're trying to figure out the situation, and once they figure out that he's tied, then Donald sends in another strike team, and that strike team is just letting it fly, like for real. Like this dude is really like told his minions at this point, yo, I need this aired out, and Six is alert of the whole situation. He's very aware of, okay, what's going on. And he sees a car pull up, and he tells the guys, get down. And lo and behold, the moment the truck comes up, and all these guys start, with the chopsticks and the mop sticks, just airing it out, you know what I'm saying? They trying to shoot back, but some of the policemen is getting hit, some of them getting killed. This dude, Six, is pretty much handcuffed on a bench type of, like a chair bench type of thing in the middle of the park. So people are running, and cops are trying to find out like what's going on, but at the same time kind of keep this guy protected. Then this guy calls for more reinforcements and all these guys are having a frenzy with the police. Then the police call the SWAT team, and it's just a gunfight. You got these people at this point just being villains, killing these big wig CIA people, and just killing endless, just people in general. It's crazy, it was crazy. So we see that Donald's looking at it like, yo, this dude is tied to a bench. How come no one is shooting the one guy who isn't strapped? And he's telling them, look, if you kill him, I'll up the bounty. And people are trying to shoot him, and they're missing, and they, and he finds a gun, and he's shooting them from behind the bench. It's crazy. It's like I said, it's totally action, And so I guess with one of the guns or whatever, he, shoots off the handcuff, he gets free. And that's pretty much that, because then, he goes on this, there's like a little tram, hops on the tram, taking out those guys. Then his sidekick comes with the red card that the woman had gave Six earlier, that he gave to her. So she's pretty much gonna, save him. But, once those dudes find, oh, he's on the tram, they're all hopping on the tram. So you know what that means. We gotta have a gun scene in the tram. So he's, letting it fly, airing out, fighting these dudes, throwing these dudes off the tram, shooting these dudes. This girl's, shooting. It's a whole scene. Wherever that, it was Czechoslovakia. Czech became Call of Duty. It became Cold War on a hot summer. You understand? It became crazy, bro. I'm talking collateral damage. crazy. Like Godzilla came and left no survivors. It was crazy. So, we're gonna fast forward because it was a whole lot of action. I'm talking from the train scene, from the bottom of the train to the top of the train to when he was doing all this stuff. And then, like, the train hit something and it came back and it collapsed on this big building. It was crazy, man. It was just a whole bunch of action. It was crazy. I'm serious, man. It was crazy, like, action. I'm talking 007 ain't got shit on this, straight up. So, eventually, after all of this done, the collateral damage, the smoke clears, he hops in the car. And when he hops in the car, he has to stitch his wounds. He just shot at. He was going through glass. He was, he has to fix his wounds. And at this point in time, Donald's losing his mind, and he's calling to see if anyone made it. His whole team on the screen X'd out, like X'd out, big time, But then he gets how most movies do, like the villain feels like, damn, that was everyone. But then there's one left. So there was like one key player, a new challenger, if you will. A new challenger emerged. And I think his name was like Lone Wolf or whatever, and he was in pursuit of where this guy was going. So now he's in pursuit of where he's going. He's trying to find him. And they go to some type of office. I want to say either a vet or a hospital, where he's licking his wounds, and he has the flash drive or the medallion, so to speak. And once they have a little bit of downtime, like most movies do, he kind of opens up to his psychic about like his past life and like what was it like growing up from and stuff like that. And it's still, to me, it was still very little. We just know, like, he had an abusive father who I guess was trying to push his sons to be, tough and to be hard. And I guess it got to a point where he was pushing his brother to a point where maybe it really wasn't distinct, but it was like his brother was going to maybe turn out like his father, or was going to, like, I guess, die, from the abuse from his father. So he took out his father. And that was the reason why he was sitting up in prison. And then Fitz came and gave him a second chance. It's like, it sucks, but most people could relate to certain situations like that, where you have, like, obviously an adult being, or not an adult being, but like an adult figure, just overuse like his status for like the wrong thing. And then when someone who says, hey, that's wrong, and doesn't really know right from wrong too much, and feels like if I end his life, that'll be perfect, and that's why he was sitting up, and that's why Fitz saw it. He was like, I support what you did, but you just went about it the wrong way. But you did it for the right reasons, and that's the reason why I guess he kind of trained him to kill and hone in on that skill, but not to be so emotional, or like to kind of lose your cut ties with your emotions, so to speak. I guess we get a little bit of his little backstory and stuff like that, and once it's coming to a close and they're about to proceed to the next thing, he opens up a curtain, and the lone wolf is there with a knife. Immediately just stabs him right in the hand, and he's fighting both these guys, both these agents. And for this guy being the wild card, he's really a wild card. He held his own against those two agents, got the medallion, he left, and then they're trying to chase after him. And then I know Six's sidekick asks for a gun, because where they're at, there's like police or whatever, and he tosses her a gun, he hits a gun, and then she's trying to she has to get this guy, has to get the flash drive, and when she tells him to freeze and he's driving past her, I guess the gun wasn't loaded, so he didn't tell her the gun was loaded or whatever, so she's kind of mad at that. Becomes like a gag, so to speak. But needless to say, they know where he was going. And then Six wasn't really too worried about it. Yeah, he lost and he has the medallion, but he had an idea of where they were going. Now it was just pretty much gearing up and going to pretty much the final boss, because he had to rescue them, because, Fitz and Claire are hoping for Six to come, just knight in shining armor stuff, still plays with that element. And you know, he goes over there, but he does it with a plan. What I love about the movie was some of the running gags. Like he would ask him, "Are you like a 42 regular, or you want to trade?" and stuff like that. So he goes to these guys that's patrolling the house, because he's a, you know, they make it to like pretty much the final boss stage, you could say, and he asks these guys if they're 42 regular, takes them out, whatever the case is. So now, you know, he's dressed up in, you know, op armor, and so is his sidekick. And you know, from jump, they're, you know, waiting, but we see the lone wolf. He gets there, and he meets Donald. Donald makes a couple of remarks, whatever the case is, and he gives him the drive. All right, cool. So he's waiting. Donald's making more, you know, frivolous comments. And then when he finds out that he was gonna kill Claire, the guy kind of, you know, took a step back. Was like, hold on, wait, you're gonna kill a child? Like, you're gonna kill a woman? And it's like, well, you know, it is what it is. So he's already kind of like, man, I must have signed up for the wrong thing, you know. But then at that split second, Donald makes him trapped. He keeps him there. He's like, listen, we're not going to pay you until we get this, that, and the third done out the way. And then by then, looking at it was like, for me personally, I thought the lone wolf was going to join them. I didn't know what his agenda really was at that point, you know, from there, you know. But we see our heroes come in, you know, we see the sidekick bomb rush shit. I'm talking, she's, you know, well, before she bomb rushes, let me rephrase that, because let me give you the running gag. So he gave her an empty shotgun. So when they go and they're reading up on weapons and armor, she's like, make sure these are loaded. I need to have a loaded gun, because she was already pissed it wasn't a loaded shotgun, yet they got their ass kicked by this guy, yet he took, you know, the retreat, you know, he took the item that, you know, they needed to get retrieved. So she was already livid. So fast forward now, she's there picking, you know, she has like this rocket launcher and she's running. There's a helicopter, you know, protecting, you know, final boss. So she, you know, shoots the rocket launcher, takes out the, you know, the helicopter. They're like, oh my God, they're here. Sound the alarm. All right, and she's has like this other rocket launcher just running through the gate, just airing that off. Explosions everywhere. She's coming in, but she's stalling them, which was really good because she's hitting people. People are dying, and she's getting people's attention, which is good. But they don't know that Six is already in the house, and he had secured Fitz and Claire, and was like, come on, let's go. So by the time Donald and them coming out, and they're like, yo, we need to stop this situation now. He's seeing the sidekick running, you know, shooting and everything like that, and he's like, yo, wait a minute. You know, she's not coming at us, she's running this way. Oh shit, he's in the house. Or oh shit, you know, this is a stall, she's stalling for time. So he already knew right off the gate, and then he figured, okay, he's in the house. Now I need to find him and I need to take him out. And that his sidekick is trying to find pretty much the control room, you know, like where they're watching everything. And when she does, she explodes that the control room. But the thing is, there was another agent that worked with Carmine that had to work with Donald. I forget her name too, but we'll say Carmine's sidekick as well. And the reason why I say it is because, like, to me, their characters didn't really hold a lot of prevalence. And that's the reason why, like, I don't remember their names. They didn't really do nothing, like, remarkable. They didn't do nothing that stood out to me that was like, all right, cool, you know? It was like a generic, like a real generic. So, you know what I'm saying? So they were really generic, you know, and that's why I don't really remember too much of their names. But she was there because she's been there since they've been doing the shady business. So you could say she's a villain. And, you know, Six's sidekick finds a little place, shoots it, and I guess pretty much kills everyone there or knocks them out, whatever the case is. But she goes in there to see if the lone wolf guy's there, if there's any kind of information there, and luckily he is. Now, we don't see that many bodies, but we just see his. You know, they're having a fight, you know, pretty much still rematch, whatever the case is. And it's going pretty good until the lone wolf gets the upper hand, where he almost kills her, but then he stops and he's like, here's the medallion. I don't need the medallion. I don't care for the medallion because honestly, you guys are honor, like you guys fight like not with no honor. You know, it's like a disgrace for like what you guys have me do. And then he's like, I don't want that on, you know, on my conscience. Like I'm not into that. So he gives her the medallion and he walks off. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe he's gonna, you know, get like that redemption, but he doesn't. You know, he kind of walks off, gives her the medallion, and so she's like, all right, cool. Meanwhile, you have Six, and then you have Claire, Fitz, you have Donald and his boys, you know, applying pressure, trying to get this guy. And while they're in the midst of the gunfight, trying to escape, trying to get to pretty much home, Fitz gets hit, and he's like, all right, you know what, I'm not gonna make it, you know. I'll take the, what he say? He's like, I'll take the stairs. He's like, so it's not gonna happen. But he was like, give me the grenade. I'll take, you know, and I'll give you this gun, because at this point when they come, I'll pull the pin, and you know. So, you know, there was an emotional tie for them, just because, you know, Fitz is the guy who kind of, you know, was there for them. You know, and to me it makes sense. You know, he was there for his niece when she lost her parents, and he was there for Six when he was sitting up in jail for something that he believed he was doing the right thing, and he trained Six, and they had that father-son dynamic. So it was a tough. You could tell it was a tough thing to let go, but he had to let go, and that was one of the reasons why he's like, we don't get emotional in times like this. We're on the line of fire, you know, bullets are flying, you know, people's lives are really at stake. You just can't just have a moment when you got to keep on pushing, and that was something that he was trying to have, not Claire, but kind of have Six like reinforce that, because Claire was there, she was being emotional, he needed Claire to kind of, you know, toughen up. But needless to say, they said their goodbyes in a way really quick, and they run on the other side of pretty much top of like the castle, and they jump down in the water where you know, later on the villains come, and he pulls the pin. Donald lives, and they think you know they killed him, but no. Then we kind of, you know, I could kind of like, I don't want to say skip, but for the most part, after that happens, you know, because they're in the water, they obviously go to the surface, and by the time they go to the surface, you have a truck, and you have Donald's in that truck, and you know, at that point, the moment he steps out the soil, he steps onto soil, you know, he's shooting the truck, kills a couple guys. Donald gets out. You know, they're having a little quick fight, a little quick tussle, whatever the case is. And the girl had a flare gun, shoots Donald's fingers off, and then shoots another flare gun in his back. So he's already all messed up, and then he's already getting his ass kicked. So then I remember he, you know, punches or knocks out Six, takes the little girl, kidnaps her, puts the gun to her head, and he pretty much runs into like this maze, woods, which gave me Labyrinth vibes for some strange reason. I don't know why, but don't ask me. But he goes to this little maze, this maze garden, where he's pretty much tying her up, and he's saying, if you're not quiet enough, if you're not this, you're not that, like, I'll kill you where you stand, because this guy's deadly. So, you know, all this is going on, and it's funny because once he gets out of the forest and he sees them in, like, there's this well, like, in the middle, and he's pretty much telling them, oh, you know, you've been a thorn, and, you know, you've been like a piece of like dirt or like a rock on my foot, and I just can't walk away from it. You know, like, now you're a problem. Now I really want to end you, and the best way to do it is do like an actual fight. So, you know, pretty much he has the girl hostage, and he kind of tells him, you know, drop the gun, you know. Well, first he tells him to just take out the clip. He empties out the clip, pulls it back, and tosses the gun. So he's completely unarmed, completely. And then, you know, at that point, he's like, screw it, you know. The girl goes to him, and he's telling her everything's going to be okay, everything's going to be all right, don't worry about it, it's just another Thursday. A callback to during the flashback that they had, he fought one of these guys that broke into their house that was trying to kill them. She walked in, and she saw him, and she saw like the guy like on the floor laid out, and she was like asking, is everything okay? And he was like, yeah, just another Thursday, because when I believe when they were getting to know each other and stuff like that, he said it like in a nonchalant way, like, yeah, just a normal Thursday, or like, yeah, I call that a normal Thursday. So when he said that again to Chris Evans' character, like it's just another Thursday, it kind of like was supposed to be a callback and re-trigger, like, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. It's just a normal day. It's not the end of the world. He's got this. And she runs out of the forest. They're duking it out, you know, having a really good fight. Like I said, they like the action is hands down like the best. I'm not gonna lie. Like the fight's good. It's not super over the top. It's not super fatigued. It's really, really good for like people who are trained, you know, CIA agents and hitmen and mercenaries. It's really, really, really good. And to have it be at night, all the way when the sun came up, I thought that was a little nice action. Always saying it's like he said. It's to me. It's like he said. It's a normal Thursday. The sun will come up, and it sure enough did when they were fighting. So he's fighting. And I guess he has a flashback because he's getting drowned. And I guess he remembers what his father was telling him. And, you know, he has that moment, that extra boost, that extra strength. And, you know, he gets out of there and he puts him in a rear naked chokehold. Like he was gonna, it looked like he was just really gonna like, you know, just have him go unconscious. But Carmichael's sidekick comes in and she shoots Donald. You know, she shoots him. And then he kind of lets go and he's like, all right, well, whatever, you know. He doesn't know who she is. So when he says something, she shoots him like in the leg. And she's pretty much telling him like, you know, he's a pain, he's this, he's that. And she never like working with Donald. And she's kind of like, you know, her, Danny, which is, you know, Carmichael, and herself, they all went to Harvard together. And those two guys have had like a bromance. So she's never been like the it girl, the it person in their group, and she always wanted to, I guess, prove to him that I guess she is. So I guess when that happened, that was kind of like her way of like being like, hey, you know, I'm a top bitch, like don't F with me. So she pretty much tells him like, well, look, we can make you a proposition, you know, you give me this and da 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 da, and I guess if not, like, he'll go back to jail, because like the Sierra program, they were trying to get rid of it. Remember, they had freedom. I guess in this case, he'll go back to jail, but they'll take him out whenever they need him to do some stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you're gonna get a shitty deal, you know. But at this point, you're a ghost, so they could say whatever, or they could stick to whatever charge, and it's gonna stick. So, you know, he's already injured. So at that point, he kind of, I don't want to say he kind of took the deal, but the deal had to happen so he could get the medical, you know, attention and medical stuff that he needed. So we probably fast forward to like, let's say like, I want to say like 2 weeks or maybe a week later, where he's in the hospital, Six is in the hospital, Claire's in somewhat of a safe house, and like Carmichael, Six sidekick, and Carmichael's sidekick, since they're all CIA agents, legitly, they go and they meet the big wigs, the board. And it's funny because I believe his name is Joe Russo, one of the Russo brothers, because he directed the film. He's in there, so he acts as like, you know, the head, you know, guy in charge. And he's telling them about all the stuff that they did, this, that, and the third, collateral damage, and, you know, everything they did was kind of like, it wasn't really good, but he you know, he kind of like exonerated them from it. So, you know, they had everything still intact. And Six's sidekick was more so, a little bit more on edge. Not really on edge, but she was a little bit more on Carmichael, saying, you know, hey, if you ever lay a hand on Chloe Fitz or whatever, I'm going to come after you. And, you know, that's just what it is. So, you know, he kind of just like, oh, you know, stay out of, you know, just, so he's kind of like, all right, you know, 6 feet apart, you know, don't get too close to me, you know. And then he's talking to his sidekick about, okay, do we have Six under control, this, that, and the third, and he kind of really wants to, like, you know, phase him out, you know, and he doesn't really want to work with none of Fitz's people. I guess that's why he was offering them, so he could kind of like get rid of that regime and put a new program in place. And his sidekick felt that she's up to par to keep up with Six. And he was more so like, you're not. Trust me, you're not. And the fact that he was like, you supposedly say Six took your gun and shot Dylon but didn't shoot you, that's questionable. And then she said, oh, he didn't find me as a threat or whatever. And then he kind of talked even more belittle on her. So it's kind of like he knew she was lying, but at the same time, he let her live that lie because he knew, well, if that's the case, then he kind of even belittled her even more. So they go and they're going to see Six because, you know, for, I think, like I said, a week or two, he's been resting. He's been in medical rest since the whole situation started. So since he's been, you know, resting his wounds and everything like that from just hardcore action nonstop, he's able, I don't want to say he's able, but he feels better, whatever. He breaks out, takes out all the guards because I guess whatever floor they were on, it was covered but nothing but just military police. And by the time the CIA get there, guns are drawn off the elevator, everyone's just on high alert, and they see all these guys laid out. They're like, damn, this guy just left. This guy broke out, and now he's loose. Where is he? You know, and then we kind of, you know, transition to where Claire's at. You know, she's like in a safe house or whatever like that with some CIA guys. And, you know, they're kind of like, you know, bodyguarding, hey, you know, come and eat, do this, do that, go back in your room, etc., etc. And, you know, when she comes back to her room after she's done eating, she sees one of her vinyl records. Because the thing about her character, you know, she was kind of into vinyl and stuff like that. So she sees one of her vinyl records. And she sees one of her records that Six played. It was something like Silverbird or whatever. He says, play me loud. So she, you know, she's looking around and she's like, all right, you know, she plays it loud or whatever it is. So when she plays it loud, you know, you hear gunshots, you hear all this fighting and stuff like that going on. She's crying. Just to find out when the door opens, it's him, you know, and he's like, all right, let's go, you know. And it's cool because, you know, it's like he came for her because that is like the last bit of his family. And you see him, you know, take off in the G-Wagon and they just leave. Now, no one knows, you know, the end is always open for interpretation. But, you know, he drives off to the sunset where, you know, no one's going to really bother with him. And I'm like, it makes sense. You have this guy who's pretty much a ghost, and then you have this girl who pretty much is somewhat of a ghost because the only ties you would know she would have is with Fitz, and Fitz is dead. That's how they were able to find her, you know? But overall, the movie was good. The Gray Man was an interesting movie, you know? It definitely gave me 007 vibes just based off the first beginning of the film, you know, where they're at the club and he's trying to kill four, but he doesn't really know his whole objectives. He's just blending in, looking smooth, talking smooth, and just moving smooth. And, you know, just from there and the action and just the whole, not really spies, but CIAs and knowing certain things you're not supposed to know, and, you know, all that whole little tidbit like Tom Clancy-esque, it really felt like that, like 007 with Tom Clancy, because you have agents going rogue, you have agents being, you know, in their own private sector and this, that, and the third, and taking out their own, and it just became crazy. So, like, definitely it gave me those type of vibes, but the Russo brothers did a really good job on doing it, because you had someone like, obviously, Captain America, Chris Evans, playing a different person, not the heroics, but more of like a dick, like a real villain. Like, you know, we don't get villains like that with the whole mustache and the whole, like, charismatic and like the resources and how smart he really is, but he's just a little bit of a sociopath. But he knows how to work. He knows how to become a strategist. He could go above and beyond and do things that has to be done. But some people might look at it like that's a bit extreme, and that's why it's not sanctioned. So, you know, like, the movie to me was really good because it was just more now. It was like in the now. We're not going to give you too much flashbacks. We're not going to do too much, you know, character, you know, like, here's the whole origins, or just kind of flush out enough character background for certain people. You know, it was kind of like you're going to get a little bit and you're going to keep it moving. So I felt like that's good. Even though there's a lot of things that were shrouded in mystery just by conversations that they had, was still fair enough for you to kind of like make your own interpretation of it. That's what I felt. You know, that's how I saw it. You know, because it's like, damn, you know, like what was this like? I was like, what was this guy like? 6. What was he like? You know, when he was in jail? Like, did he kill anyone? Was he doing this? What was, you know, Donald doing? Why did he get kicked out of the CIA? You know, and then during the time when 6 got his freedom, what was his, you know, training progression like? You know, there was a lot of things that had to be answered, but in the movie, it kind of spoke for itself, just based on his reputation, the way he fought, the way he carried himself, and just things of that nature. So it was definitely cool. And, you know, I know Netflix has been kind of getting ups and downs with a lot of their TV shows. But this is definitely a good movie to watch if you haven't. It came out obviously this year, but you know, when they do it this year, the movie was probably filmed last year. So there's nothing really. Technology's still there. It's not like too prevalent. You know, it's still relevant in our day and age in our time. That's one thing I'll say. But like the movie, for it being on Netflix, it's really good. I would recommend anyone to go check it out. You know, it's on Netflix, so you could watch it on any streaming service if you can. Definitely give that a check. So this is going to conclude the Gray Man movie review talk, whatever you want to call it. Second actual movie review. Probably going to do definitely another one. I don't know which one. I did anime action, and I did action adventure. So maybe doing a horror one, or maybe like a thriller mystery. It's still in the mix. It's mixed, but I'll definitely figure out which movie I'm gonna go with next. This one was a little bit more new. Dragon Ball was new, so I might want to do one more new one, and then I might do a throwback film review for a lot of people who might not know, or it might be like a gem that was in the cracks, you know, that fell through the cracks, and I'm here to kind of just, you know, give you that perspective of it. So that's gonna be with no further ado. If you guys like the content, please like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications for when I go up. I'm gonna try to post a little bit more. So I'm gonna try now to start posting like my video reviews and stuff every Wednesday if I can. If not, I'll let you guys know probably via Twitter. You guys can follow me on Twitter. I'll leave the link in the description below. But that's gonna be it for you guys. So that's gonna conclude my video. You know, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care and be safe out there. Peace.